If you've got diamonds to spare, Good Camp Ticket is a really good choice. In fact, it's as good as, say, buying a value bundle. As long as you have diamonds to spare, you have enough biscuits to cover the week, and you've already maxed out your ingredient bag. In comparison, Helper Whistle is probably one of the worst items you can buy in the shop. Welcome back to another Pokemon Sleep video, it's Bro Vinny here. So for today, we are going to analyze the value of a Good Camp Ticket in the shop that you can buy for 500 diamonds. You can also get a few of these as a free to play as you progress through the game. But at some point you're going to run out, and if you're wondering with any spare diamonds that you have what to spend them on, well, this is a really good choice, but there are several conditions you need to be aware of for it to be good. For those of you who don't want to watch the entire video of my analysis, here is the conclusion. Firstly, a Good Camp Ticket can be as good as buying any of the value bundles. We're talking about comparing to 40% discounts on value bundles. And if you haven't already checked out my value bundle analysis for the Lakeside event, go on over to the other video. I'll leave a link in the description below where I analyze how good the value bundles are. Generally speaking, you would get about a 40% discount on a value bundle. And what I'm saying is a Good Camp Ticket at full price, 500 diamonds, is almost, if not slightly better than even 40% discount. And in terms of diamond costs, a Good Camp Ticket is about 5 times the value of a Helper Whistle. So in other words, don't buy Helper Whistles if you had to choose between the two. And never forget that your diamonds should really go to expanding your ingredient pocket first, because that will help you in your long-term gameplay the most. Now I'm going to assume that everyone knows what a Good Camp Ticket does as I'm diving into the analysis. And what I've done here is provide several situations where it would be comparable to a Good Camp Ticket. So I've done a situation where I spend 480 diamonds on 8 Poke Biscuits because that's what they cost. So to get 8 Poke Biscuits in the general shop, but if you were to buy them on a discount, say a value bundle, and say approximately 40% discount, well, this is how much it would cost. And then if you were to buy 16 Poke Biscuits instead, how much that would cost. So that's double of that. And if you were to use a Good Camp Ticket, well, that's 500 diamonds. And if you were to use a combination of Good Camp Ticket and Poke Biscuits, how much that would cost. So these are the costs of having the different situations. In the analysis, I'm going to assume that you guys all know how to get 8 hungry Pokemon from your Good Camp Ticket rather than 7. And if you don't know, again, I'll leave a link in the description below explaining how that's done. And I'm going to assume that there's no big hits or mega hits during this analysis, but actually it would be better to run a Good Camp Ticket even if we did account for mega hits and big hits, and that's because if a Pokemon is hungry, it's got a higher chance to be a mega hit. And since a Good Camp Ticket can provide 8 hungry Pokemon, it makes a lot of sense that it's actually better, even if we did account for big hits and mega hits. So our aim in this analysis is to arrive at how much friendship points you're going to get per an amount of diamonds that you spend, which I'll go through with you. But for those of you who are just interested in the outcome, well, the best possible outcome is one where you get 19 friendship points per 100 diamonds, and that one falls under where you only purchase the Good Camp Ticket. So even all the other situations where there's discounts, we're talking about value bundle discounts like 40% discount on Poke Biscuits, etc., they don't beat having a Good Camp Ticket active. But that's a best case scenario, because there are also scenarios where it's not the best case, where you are unable to utilize that Good Camp Ticket as well, and the actual outcome of your friendship points per diamond spent is a bit less. So whether you are able to get this much value out of your Good Camp Ticket is going to be situational, and it will be mostly dependent on how high a drowsy power you can achieve. Alright, so let's go through this chart. Our first situation is if I purchased 8 Poke Biscuits, which is the closest in terms of diamond cost to a Good Camp Ticket at 400 diamonds, 480 diamonds, well, how do the numbers compare? First of all, we're not going to get any guaranteed hungries because there's no Good Camp Ticket. You're gonna be able to get 8 friendship points from your 8 biscuits, assuming no big hits, no mega hits, because if you could get mega hits, well, it's actually better with a hungry Pokemon. So that makes buying Poke Biscuits even worse in general. But we shouldn't forget that every day we are provided with a bonus biscuit or a premium bonus biscuit if you have a premium pass. Because we need to factor this in since we can use this for our Good Camp ticket. So how many friendship points do we get from bonus biscuits? Well, for over 8 days, we can get 24. If you're free to play. If you've got the premium pass, then it will be worth 32. Don't worry about this column for now. We're going to come back to this when we reach the Good Camp ticket. Now, in terms of the total friendship points you can get with 8 Poke Biscuits, plus every day for 8 days, the premium or the bonus biscuit, you can get it anywhere between 32 to 40 friendship points. You just add the numbers together. And if we divide that by the number of diamonds you spent, you get anywhere between 7 to 8 friendship points per 100 diamonds over those 8 days. Alright, so let's take a look at what if we were to spend 40% discount to buy 8 Poke Biscuits instead. Obviously, there's no actual value bundle that provides that. You have to get the actual value bundles which provide other things like growth incense or candies or whatever. But let's isolate all of those and just assume that you could get 8 Poke Biscuits as a hypothetical situation and compare the numbers. So again, it's still 8 Poke Biscuits. All of these are the same because that's the same number of bonus biscuit and premium biscuits that you get over those days. So pretty much everything is the same up until how many friendship points per diamond. That's because, well, you're spending less diamonds. So you're nearly double on those numbers, which is really good. I also did a situation where we compare 16 Poke Biscuits. And the reason why I decided to do that is to show you that it actually gets worse if you buy too much Poke Biscuits with your diamonds. Of course, 16 Poke Biscuits means we have to spend double the amount of the usual 480 in the general shop. And of course, it will give you 16 Poke Biscuits. So therefore 16 friendship points. All the bonus biscuits every day remain the same. The total friendship points only increase by about 8 compared to your previous situation where you only bought 8 Poke Biscuits. So therefore the amount of friendship points you get per 100 diamond is less. And that's because you're not getting double the amount of bonus biscuits. On those days, you've just spent double the amount of Poke Biscuits. If you don't understand this third scenario, don't worry, it's not as important. Now let's go on to Good Camp ticket. 500 diamonds to buy it in the exchange shop. And if we look at how, so we're not buying any Poke Biscuits at all in this situation, but we're guaranteed 8 Hungries. Now, because there's no Poke Biscuits, I've blocked this part out, so 0 there. But what you can do with those bonus biscuits is you can feed it to the hungry Pokemon, and there's 8 hungry Pokemon over those 8 days. So in other words, if you're a free-to-play player with the bonus biscuit, you get 3 points. But because they're hungry, you times that by 3, that's 9 points. And over those 8 days, you would get 72. So 9 times 8 is 72 friendship points. So as you can see, it scales up very quickly. And even better if you've got the premium bonus biscuit, because it'll go up to 96 points. Because it'll be 4 times 3, which is 12, times 8, which is 96. But there is a problem. A lot of Pokemon, when they're hungry, aren't going to have 20 bars for you to fill. A lot of them may only have about 5 bars to fill, 5 friendship bars to fill. And so if you get a hungry Pokemon on, say, a Rattata, then you could only at most get 5 points out of it, even if you fed it a bonus biscuit. So we have come up, I've put it in a situation where we are capped by the fact that some Pokemon will only have 5 friendship bars. So it's if capped at 5. This would be much less of a problem, in fact not a problem at all, if you don't have any hungry Pokemon, because you wouldn't have to worry about the cap. Which is why these 3 scenarios are completely blank for this part. So if you were unlucky enough that the entire week you only get your hungry status Pokemon, be the unevolved baseline version where there's only 5 bars to fill, then at most you can only get 40 points out of your hungry status Pokemon, and therefore your Good Camp ticket. So in other words, you're only going to get anywhere between 40 friendship points up to a 96 maximum friendship points from using your good camp ticket. 96 being where you're so lucky that every time you get a hungry status Pokemon, it falls on, say, Eradicate, where you have 12 bars to fill for all 8 days, not wasting one single drop of that friendship point. And if we divide that by how much diamonds we've spent, well, this is where we see the value. 19 friendship points. Compared to everything else, it has the highest value. But if you're unlucky, then yes, the value of your good camp ticket can be a bit worse. In fact, a bit worse than buying value bundles, which is at 11 points per 100 diamond. Which is why one of my first recommendations would be only to use your good camp ticket when you can achieve high drowsy power, so that you would actually have more chances of getting, say, rare Pokemon or evolved Pokemon having more friendship bars that need filling with the hungry status. So probably not a good idea the first time you visit a new area, say Lapis Lakeside, to be running a good camp ticket. But of course, you could argue that what you do is you don't feed the bonus biscuit to the hungry Pokemon. You feed a Poke Biscuit to the hungry Pokemon when you've got nothing else to choose from. And then I've also added extra scenarios where you combine, say, a good camp ticket with one of these other situations, or maybe with the discounted situation here. And ultimately, it's not a bad idea, but it doesn't improve the numbers that much more. So the most important thing is to try and ensure that that hungry status falls on a Pokemon that has high friendship requirements. And that's not something that's easy to do, but what you can try is to use your good camp ticket where you can achieve high drowsy power, rather than using the good camp ticket when you just started a new area. Now there is another problem with this analysis, is that I have assumed that all hungry status falls on good Pokemon. I mean, if the hungry status goes to like a Gulpin or a Lucario, well, it's really not going to be that useful to you. If you enjoy collecting everything, then a good camp ticket is almost always going to be worth it. I mean, if only 50% of Pokemon where there's hungry status are worth catching, then you're only going to get about 50% of the value from the good camp ticket, which makes it worse. And let's not forget all the other benefits of a good camp ticket, which I have not included them in the analysis. So for example, you get a higher drowsy power by the end of the week and every day throughout the week, and that's because of the additional 20% helping speed, as well as being able to fit 50% more ingredients in your cooking pot. So if you're able to fill that pot, then you'll level up your dishes quicker, which is better for your long-term gameplay. And the fact that the good camp ticket hungry Pokemon is always an extra spawn. It's not one of your existing 8 spawns, it's a 9th spawn, which again means more dream shards, more candies. So there's definitely a lot of value in a good camp ticket. And of course, let's not forget that it's hungry means there's a higher chance for mega hit that could potentially cost you less biscuits overall, making the value of the good camp ticket even higher. So when should you not use a good camp ticket if you want to maximize its value? Of course, if diamonds don't matter to you and if you've got enough money, then buy a good camp ticket and use it every week. There's almost no doubt about that. But let's say you want to sort of min-max, you want to get the most out of your ticket. There are 5 reasons where you might not want to use a good camp ticket. Number 1, if you can't achieve a high enough drowsy power, because your Pokemon will just be like 5 bars to full. So you're kind of wasting that hungry status. Number 2 is if you do naps frequently. So if you do naps every single day of the week, that hungry status will fall on the nap. So your hungry extra spawn always falls on the session 1 of your day, which for most people, unless you do night shifts, is going to be the nap session, the weaker session of the 2, which again means lower drowsy power, so lower chance that the hungry is going to fall on an evolved or a rare Pokemon. And number 3 is, well, if your team building is pretty much complete, there's nothing really valuable for you to catch anymore, then of course it doesn't make sense to run a good camp ticket. Maybe you're better off buying like growth incense instead. so that you can focus on leveling up your existing Pokemon. And for a fourth condition where it's not a good idea to run a good camp ticket is if you don't have enough Poke Biscuits ready. So let's say you've exhausted your sleep points and you're not prepared to buy any more Poke Biscuits for that week, then it may not be a good idea to run a good camp ticket because you'll be spending only your bonus biscuit on the hungry Pokemon. You won't have a choice to run a Poke Biscuit with the hungry Pokemon instead. Which brings us back to the situation where you have a good camp ticket and you've only got Pokemon that are 5 bars to full, and if you only have your bonus biscuit to feed them, or your premium bonus biscuit, then at most you can only get 40 friendship points out of that. The fourth situation where you shouldn't buy a good camp ticket is if you haven't expanded your ingredient pocket enough. And the fifth and final reason you might not want to use a good camp ticket is if you're specifically chasing ingredient specialists that week. And that's because for ingredient specialists, we're trying to get the most inventory as possible naturally without even sub skills. So by evolving the Pokemon, let's say for Larvitar to evolve to Tyranitar, you get a plus 10 inventory without any extra inventory sub skills. So you really want to catch those at base evolution, and quite often that will just be the 5 bar to catch. So while you might run a good camp ticket and have a Tyranitar as the hungry Pokemon and you feel like you've won the game by feeding it a bonus biscuit, it's probably not the best idea for your long-term gameplay. So that was the full analysis of a good camp ticket. How does it compare with Helper Whistle and maybe Friend Incense? For Friend Incense, it's one hungry Pokemon out of your existing list of Pokemon, so it's not even an extra spawn, and it costs 150 diamonds. To get 8 hungry, that would cost you 1200 diamonds, which is more than double that of a good camp ticket, and it's ignoring all the extra benefits of a good camp ticket as well. So Friend Incense is a very bad buy, but probably not as bad as a Helper Whistle. Because if we take the raw numbers of a Helper Whistle, which is an extra 3 hours worth of berries and ingredients, but let's say we only count the berries to keep the calculations simplistic. If I assume that all your Pokemon are farming at 100% energy all the time, then 3 hours out of 24 hours in a day is a 12.5% improvement on the final Drowsy power or the strength of Snorlax. Whereas a good camp ticket provides a 20% improvement. And that's not even including all the hungry and all the expansion pot. So for a 12.5% improvement on your score, on your strength, you would need 2 whistles a day for 6 days to match that of a good camp ticket. And that's a whopping 2400 diamonds. And we're only looking at improving the Snorlax strength. If we now add on top the 8 hungries from Friend Incense to even replicate that the effect of a good camp ticket, that's a total of 3600 diamonds from buying 8 of the Friend Incense and 12 of the Helper Whistles, which is 7 times more expensive than just buying a good camp ticket. So I would highly recommend that you don't buy these items where you can. You can get them from free-to-play rewards, achievements, etc. But otherwise, don't spend your diamonds on these if you had to choose. I would highly recommend that you stick to a good camp ticket. Okay, so that was a really complex video. There were a lot of considerations on whether a good camp ticket can be good, and there are lots of situations, and it depends on what you need as well, and whether you have enough biscuits to make the most out of the good camp ticket. The main takeaway from this video, I would say, is once you've spent the diamonds on everything that you really need, like expanding ingredient pocket, well, then go for the good camp ticket. You can use it on weeks where you can achieve high Drowsy power, when you've got enough sleep points stacked up so you can buy the Poke Biscuits, and you should think of good camp ticket as good as buying a value bundle with your diamonds. And that's it being at full price. Thank you for watching, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe if this video helped you.